Afternoon. This is the Board of Directors special meeting on resources and engineering. It is Tuesday, August 11th. I'm Susan Longville. I'm the chair, and I call this meeting to order. Would anybody in the room or online like to introduce themselves? We all kind of.
Melody McDonald, San Bernardino Valley Water Conservation District.
Good afternoon, Melody. Okay, public comment. Members of the public may address the board regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. However, no action may be taken on off-agenda items except as authorized by law. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Do we have any requests?
Ma'am, I have not received any requests to speak to the public that's present online and in person. If you wish to provide a public comment, please raise your hand to be recognized. Nothing seen.
Nothing. Okay. We have one discussion item today, and that is to consider the construction bid award to Pride Industries One, Inc. for the direct installation program turf removal and indoor water fixture replacement project. And that will be brought to us by Kelly.
All right. Good afternoon. As this item may seem familiar, it's a little less than ideal. Well, a lot of less than ideal. So I wanted to start off by apologizing because we're going to have the board consider this item based on a mistake that I made in the procurement process. So we have to reconsider the item. I'll explain it a little bit more further on, but I definitely wanted to start off by saying I'm sorry, and I take full responsibility for the error that we made and I made in the process and that brought us here today. So
I think we all remember when we last heard about that this was something that was going to have to be done on such a tight timeline.
It is, and
there were a lot of questions.
Yes, and so this is a perfect example of trying to get things done in a tight timeline and missing a very important step, and so you have to go backwards.
Kelly, we don't expect anybody to be perfect. We just expect them to be honest.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
That's exactly so. Just for a little bit of context, and I'll jump into it, but I realized that there was a mistake, but in the timing that we found the error, there was enough time to correct the action so that we think we can still get the program administered based on this really tight timeline for the grant funding. So let me walk through just as a reminder for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about. The district did receive a $5.7 million grant from the DWR from the 2022 Urban Communities Drought Relief Grant. Within the scope of that grant, it allowed for both a turf rebate program, so your traditional turf rebate, as well as a direct installation program. We set aside about $3 million within that grant for this program. But one of the, as Director Longville mentioned, is that one of the things is we have a very, very tight timeline because all of the work and reporting has to be closed out by December 31st, 2026.
Yes.
Is Pride on the line?
I didn't see them. I don't think them or Ecotech is on the line.
Anyway, you can get to the chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you turn your microphone? Yeah.
Is there any way we can ask the clerk to call them to see if they can join our meeting? Because I have some questions for them.
Sure. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, if you'll let me. Just sent you the number. Okay. So while that's happening, so the agency has developed an interest list based on the water retailers' referrals. So for both the indoor and the outdoor direct install interest. From a positive perspective is we have 6 large, they're HOAs, but typically multifamily apartments, condos, and mobile home complexes for the indoor side, which is very close to the approximate budget that we have. And then we have 21 locations across the service area that have expressed interest for turf removal. And then on the flip side is while that side of the direct installation that we're talking about today, we also have 461,000 square feet of turf removal pre-approvals that are in place. So we have HOAs, common spaces, apartment complexes that have non-functional turf areas that we've had pre-inspections and that we've approved for them to have their contractor remove, and then they would come back to us for the rebate. So that's that more traditional turf rebate process. So, but just for the whole grant as a whole. So then, as we talked about with the previous contract, how did we get here? So I previously sought licensed contractors through a request for qualification process as a professional service. And that's kind of the hiccup, is that this needed to be processed as a public works construction bid, which included official advertisement in an adjudicated paper. So that's the step that we missed. That is a requirement of a deliverable for the grant. So that's how we came to the board. I came to the board and asked you to approve the contract for Ecotech. We were able to execute that agreement. Fortunately, prior to beginning construction, while in preparation for the quarterly reporting, I was able to realize that formally advertised proof of bidding was a requirement of the grant. So we were able to stop work before they conducted non-reimbursable construction. So, and so because of that lack of advertisement, that we weren't able to satisfy the grant's requirement. And so then that would have meant that the agency would have been responsible for any of the construction work that had taken place. So just in the nick of time, we were able to stop work. So in order to maintain compliance with the grant, like unfortunately, because of this mistake, we did have to rescind the contract with Ecotech. So they have been notified and are aware that their contract has been canceled. And then we very quickly implemented a new procurement process using the formally advertised competitive bid process. And it is important to note, because of this, that Ecotech, that the cancellation of their contract is in no way, shape, or form a failure on their part, or that they're somebody that we wouldn't want to do business with. They're a very reputable company in the region. And so I wanted to just make sure that that's, this is an administrative complication, and knowing in the construction bidding world, there's little to no discretion about the selection when you're looking at a parent low bidder.
Good, Jerry. Can you unpack adjudicated paper? What that mean?
Oh, sure. So there are certain papers that are recognized so that they're allowed by the court system to do legal notifications. So the request for a notification for bid is a legal advertisement that we would place. So the San Marino Sun, Press Enterprise, there's a number, depending on the community you live in. So that would be a paper recognized by the court to be able to post a legal advertisement.
So that means moving forward, whenever we do something like that, we're gonna use this. Because obviously, who do we use?
So in a professional services, you can normally you can
Oh, you
post it
don't-
on the website, or you can promote, you can share with vendors and industries, trade associations. There's different methods of, so construction, construction is required by state law there's a different section of the code that you have to make sure that we follow. So fortunately, we have an amazing engineering team, including Leo, to be able to follow those processes. And so, so that is, I don't foresee that I'll be responsible for many construction projects solely moving forward. This is a unique outlier, so.
Okay. Did we hear back from, okay, so good. Pride Industries will be joining us online shortly. Okay.
Perfect. So it seems like there'll be perfect timing. So we'll get through to the process, and then when we're talking about them, they'll be able to be on the line. So looking at the new procurement process, or the traditional construction process, is this one. Oh, it didn't update this. So we did develop the construction requirements for legal posting. So we work closely with engineering, and Leo's cringing because I called it a request for proposal, but this is a request. It's a construction conditions, specifications, and items. So it's a different process, similar name, similar words, but just knowing that this was advertised in the San Marino Sun and the Press Enterprise twice. So they have to be in successive weeks. We have to advertise for at least 14 calendar days. And so we held and then from there, we also held a mandatory pre-bid meeting on July 22nd. So any firm that was interested in submitting a bid had to attend, so that we could talk about the project, we could talk about the scope, especially at the time we had an interest list, and we had an identified budget, but we had more interest than what we were using for comparative bidding sake.
Mhm.
So just making sure that they knew that if they were awarded, there's a potential for more work to be done if they could fit it in time. But in order to compare apples to apples, we had to have a set number to compare, so units of measure. We had a public bid opening. So again, thanks to the engineering team on July 28th. And so we had two companies that submitted eligible bids. And then we completed our due diligence research, which included checking for bonding, insurance, contractor's license requirements, looking at references, making sure that they've conducted work that is consistent with the scope, and any of the requirements that were listed in the document. So that's where we're making sure, look, that even because, as you'll notice, there was some discrepancies, or there's some differences in the price. So we wanted to make sure that we were confident in the apparent low bidder as a responsive low bidder before we brought this recommendation to the board. So lots of very formal construction language. So I'm trying to learn from Leo as best I can. So, and then of course, today would be a request to award the contract to Pride for this contract. So with that, we have the bid results. Like I mentioned, we received two different bid packages, one from Pride Industries 1 and one from Ecotech Services. There was a minor irregularity in Pride Industries on their bid line item. So in the staff memo, it outlined the fact that there was a typographical error that made it so their bid line item was listed as $1,600 when in fact it should have been $16,000. So it's a fixed percentage of their total bid. But it is important to note that it is the board's discretion that they could accept that typographical error and that adjustment, noting that it does not, by accepting that irregularity, it does not materially change the bid amount, provide an unfair competitive advantage, or result in a different apparent low bidder. So that would be that is part of staff's recommendation. So the apparent low bidder is Pride Industries 1 Inc. at $1,322,319. And then the second bidder was Ecotech Services at $2,998,600.
I have a question through the chair.
Mhm.
So it's what, $1.6 million difference. Isn't that a red flag? Are the engineers in the room? Isn't that a red flag? That is a huge difference. That's a huge difference. So either Ecotech was totally out of the realm. What are you doing? Or Pride underbid this contract. Were those questions asked? Did anybody?
Yes, so we did want to, because of the way that the pricing was laid out, we were able to see the areas where there were any kind of significant price discrepancy. And so there was the one area was the actual construction installation of the turf rebate. We did confirm with Pride One Industry that their pricing included equipment, materials, and labor, and that they were aware that they are obligated to comply with the DIR prevailing wage requirements. And they did confirm in writing that they understand those expectations and that their pricing would be held solid.
Kelly,
Are they able to explain why their bid is so much lower?
In general, they're not.
Don't even look like they're bidding the same project.
Yes, I thought Pride is a much larger company, so potentially they can mobilize to do things faster. So yeah, their economies of scale makes it so they're located across the country and they have crews just within California that they could mobilize Northern and Southern California crews to get this done quickly. So it just seems like the economies of scale and the resources that they have access to.
Where's their headquarters?
They're located in Roseville, is their headquarters.
Roseville?
Roseville, correct. Mhm.
so just for a little bit of extra context, is that this is a totally different type of service provider. Like these are not the same types of service providers. Pride has a tremendous volume of business based on, as I understand it, school direct installation and that kind of work. So they have, probably hundreds of thousands of places that they do this kind of work. And so therefore, they have a very different price structure and how they bid things out. So that's really the major difference between the two bidders.
And I think if, now this is Leo, if I am misstating my understandings of the rules. So one of the things in construction bids is when we've done our due diligence, we've confirmed that the pricing is accurate, we've checked references to make sure that there's not a problem with, typically that would go along with projects or references saying there's a lot of change orders or things like that. If there's no reason to be able to show that there is a problem in that due diligence, then the requirement would be that there's not a reason for us to disqualify them, would have been the other option.
Yeah, we don't have a history with pride at all.
Mm-mm. No, sir.
It sure does raise questions.
And I think if
That's
I,
just a huge
Mhm.
dichotomy.
Yes. I think so as Heather mentioned, if we're looking at the scale of projects that Pride does, so this is a relatively small scale project in the grant. This is a nice tight timeline, which makes it ideal, but they are more, they work with government agencies, specifically large airport areas, renovations, prisons, cities, park and recreation districts, military bases, school renovations. So they're used to working in very tight timelines. So for schools, for example, right, we know that the construction period for a school renovation is typically summer break. You have to get in, get done quickly, and get out as quickly as you can because there's going to be students on campus. So this is an area of expertise, as well as I did want to highlight with Pride is that their part of their philosophy is making sure that they're hiring people who have traditionally had problems getting jobs. And so people with disabilities, barriers to employment, veterans, and then young adults or adults coming out of the foster system. So trying to make sure that it gives them opportunities and skill sets to be able to have careers, again, throughout the state. And almost exclusively this side of the company, they have a couple different arms, but this side of the company, it works exclusively with government agencies. So. And we did speak with references. So in hearing their former clients and current clients have said very good things about working with them.
Were these the only two bids we got?
Yes, they were. That wasn't necessarily a surprise because of the tight timeline. So this is we're asking for pretty high volume work in a relatively tight timeline and doing both the indoor and outdoor. It brings a unique style company. Sometimes there'd be companies that do just the plumbing or just the landscaping, but to have a one-stop shop that can do both sides is a bit, we know that it's not a unicorn, but it's not extremely common.
So could
Yeah.
you explain to me again what the problem is with awarding this contract?
For today?
Yeah.
So there's no problem for today. The challenge is that we had previously awarded a contract to Ecotech. So they were not the one that ended up not being the lowest bidder. They had to resubmit a bid. So we had to cancel the previous contract and then enter into a new clean contract, which happens to be with a different vendor. So as far as the process goes, this follows the letter of the law in the grant requirements. These are the obligations of the grant requirements. And thank you.
So our attorneys have reviewed this and we're not going to get a claim?
Correct. Yes, we have worked very closely with Scott on this throughout, all the way through the process, including the termination of the contract with Ecotech and the whole implementation of the process, even the staff memo. So Scott has.
Good.
Yeah, just to add a little bit more context, if I may, Director Milford. To answer your question, we're basically, the issue or the problem is that we're basically going from a professional services contract to a public works construction contract.
Right.
So that's why this whole change is being
But
being done.
all of the process has been completed. I mean, we've gone the I's are dotted and,
Correct. Like
Okay.
Kelly's saying, we work closely with legal team as well.
okay. Thank you.
Real quickly, Susan, if I may, so we can leave this and move on. So I guess the part that I'm not
Mhm.
getting, and sometimes I just don't get it.
Mhm.
But if Ecotech was awarded the contract in the beginning, minus the technicality about whether we posted it appropriately or not, their numbers should be Is that what we accepted before?
Ecotech's contract is similar to their bid amount is similar. However, they were able to perform less because this construction contract included the addition of some bonding, additional bonding and insurance, which had additional costs that had to be incorporated. So, yes.
Okay, so let me just finish my thought. So then if Ecotech is, at the time, they were like, they were, industry standard, all the stuff that was said at the time, then we should test their bid, right? I mean, they are saying, we think that we need this much money to do this project.
Mhm.
And okay, so then this Pride came in 1.6 million less.
Mhm.
I don't want to be on a hook if they can't do the job. That's
Mhm.
why I wanted to talk to them.
Mhm.
What is there a hard stop to this project?
Mhm.
That's it. If the money's not spent, the
Yes.
work's not done, it's done.
Yes,
There's no, can we get an extension?
correct. Yes.
Okay, so are you comfortable with them that they're gonna be able to perform this work
Uh,
at that price?
I am, yeah. I mean, we've done as much research as we can, knowing that they've had repeated government projects. I would say in general, if they had maybe clients that they hadn't maintained for long periods of time, there would be a kind of pointing to the red flag. But yeah, I think they have more than expressed a willingness and readiness to jump in as soon as should the board approve it, they're ready to run on this construction.
And I want to be clear with you, Kelly. For me, those things happen.
Mhm.
The posting,
Mhm.
I get it. So that's not even the issue. The issue is that what happened was because of that,
Mhm.
then we had to go out for bid again, and then this bid came in.
Mhm.
That's the part that's making me concerned, and why I have so many questions. So it's
Mhm.
not even, I understand the that.
Yes.
So I just wanted you to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Were
it's-
these the only two firms that responded?
Correct. We had a total of 5 contractors who attended the pre-bid meeting. Ecotech, and then they're actually, Pride does have a subcontractor that they're using for the plumbing side that attended the pre-bid meeting. So, same, followed the same due diligence process to make sure that their work checked out, their quality, their bonding and their insurance requirements. And then the other, they were more on the landscaping side. So again, because we needed them to do both sides of the house, that they didn't submit a bid.
I'd like to go back to the fact that we were awarded $3 million for
Mhm.
this direct install program. And we have a bid amount of just 1.3, which means that the rest of it, we're just not going to be able to.
If I may get to, let me see if this is the next.
Through Chair.
I don't want to
Yeah.
jump ahead of your questions, but I have a slide for that.
Before you go there, I do have some questions since before we ask questions to Pride and go to that slide, I just have a question regarding the new procurement process that you laid out. The first question I have is, where was finance oversight in this process or the new process? Are they involved in this new procurement process?
No, the finance oversees has the procurement policy that we follow. So it's knowing we shifted from professional services to construction. So it just shifted to the more traditional engineering process.
Okay. And then I know so going forward, are we advertising this through the Sun and Press Enterprise? Is it only for construction projects or all projects?
As required by the state codes, depends on the project.
Yeah, if I may, Director Velasquez. So when it comes to a construction project, we will have to follow this public bidding process. So
Mhm.
those are the newspaper that we have been advertising when it comes to the construction project.
So I understand that construction projects does need that advertisement, but I would also like to consider the amount that we're going to be awarded in the future for any other projects, because the concerning part I think that my colleagues are seeing is there's a huge discrepancy in cost.
Mhm.
And without going to advertise to see with go out to the world and see who else can bid instead of just using preferred vendors that we already have. So I would also like to consider, like, if there's a project or RFP that's just a huge amount or a large amount, that we do follow these type of process. So like that, we could actually give opportunity to everyone and make sure we get the best price.
Well, if I may, so this is a minimum requirement. We actually put on our website, and then any bidders who are interested can reach out to us, and they can get on the bidders list. So this, and then we also send to plan rooms. There are some other, plan room in the industry. They will have, the contractor will have access to those. So we actually reach out to quite a few. I guess it's just depending on the type of work. We only got, I guess, 5 or 6, firms interested. But I think we cast the net, the net as wide as we can. It reach out to the plan room, reach out to the newspaper. They can also, I guess, sign up on our website. If we doing business with district, you guys probably saw that on our website. So if they are interested in receiving any, new projects, they sign up on our website, and then when we have a project like this, they will be automatically notified that we got something going on. So.
No, I understand that. My concern is that when we did it the first time, we didn't get 2 bidders.
So the first time is, again, it was treated as a consultant project. So we reach out to the vendor that we know or somebody interested in doing business with us. They can potentially access that RFP. Though that's what was the process for consultant. And the construction is different. This is a contract, the construction contractor, and then we have to follow the public works bidding process. We have to put on a newspaper, we will notify people, and they have access to the plans and specs.
No, I understand that. I understand there's minimum requirements. What I'm saying is that we should have our own guidelines through our policy of certain amounts that we need to do the extra. We could do more than just a minimum for certain projects. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, through the chair, I want to echo that sentiment, because if we do more, if we make it routine where we use the Sun and the press for everything, then it's not just Gil's friends who know that this is available. Because I may not be a subscriber to our website. I may not even know that the district has a website. I may be a new firm. I may be a minority-owned firm, and I don't have my tentacles all over this service area. So it would be good practice, I think, in the future to just do it. But that's not my call. That would be my suggestion.
So just to clarify, what I think we're hearing is that, and to re-emphasize that the first process we did the RFQ, that we did not receive this type of vendor the first time. Then when we realized that, and that was not wrong for what we thought was required.
Right.
Legal review did go, reviewed that whole process. We went through our standard due diligence. However, when we realized that this particular grant requires this particular type of bid in order to be reimbursed, that's when we redid it. That said, we can add kind of this as one of our internal practices, public advertisement through newspapers to our RFP process so that it goes out to the entire audience, not just the standard vendors that are on our list and sign up for that notification, which is substantial. Probably close to 100 different vendors get all of our standard notices. But we can change that internal process so that we can widen the net, as you said.
Yes, Director Keelholm.
So did Pride receive an RFQ in the original effort?
We did not send one directly to them. If they were on CalWEP, we have a couple associations that we distributed the
Okay.
RFQ through, but not,
It's a simpler question.
yes.
It's not that complicated.
They will probably always receive future
will now.
RFQs
Yeah.
because now they're
Yeah.
on the list.
All right. Okay. Then let's move on.
Back
Um,
to it. Okay. So with that, looking at it, should the board authorize the award of contract Then staff would work to issue a notice of award, notice to proceed, and then execute the agreement, which is our standard construction agreement. It's a little bit different than the one from before. We would hold a pre-construction meeting with Pride and the team members just to make sure that we're all on the same page. We go over our list of project locations, expectations, the review process, making sure that we're all perfectly crystal clear about the December 31st deadline and what that means, and being able to back up of knowing when work needs to be done, and then work on scheduling the property based on our interest list that we've received. And then I did want to make a note that each division does have properties within the direct installation programs that they're being represented. So all 5 of your divisions have projects within them or have properties that have expressed an interest. To Director Longville's question about the scope. So because of the construction bid, it was really important that we compare apples to apples. And so in the bid document, we included 100,000 square feet of turf removal, and I believe it's 750, I think maybe 400. It was a certain number of toilets for removal. So it's making sure it's very clear, like we said, when we're talking about the differences in pricing, that we can see exactly where those costs lie. So we have about $1.5 million remaining, depending on the scale of the projects, because the turf removal side kind of varies based on economies of scale and how large it is. So if the board were to approve the award of contract to staff, or to Pride, then staff would work with Pride to actually determine an expansion of work. How much more work can we do within the timeline? And then we would negotiate that and then bring back, it would technically be a change order, even though it's not within the same scope. They're not asking for, but it would be actually expanding the scope to do more, some kind of a mix between the indoor and outdoor, knowing we have more demand on both sides of the program. So being able to balance that out, looking at the timing, again, because we have that hard stop and whatever work is not done, our pencils down periods actually right around November, right? Or we'll say like screwdrivers down, right? Or is in mid-November. So then that way because they have to close it out, we have to inspect it, we have to be able to issue payment to them and have all of that done before that December 31st deadline. So again, it's even though we're saying December 31st, it's not done with the construction on December 31st. We have to back away from that for some administrative processes. So.
Yes.
Doesn't Pride have a facility at the corner of Tippecanoe and Orange Show Road?
I am not sure. I've been
I'm
working with.
pretty sure it's a Pride Industries. Do you know if the word Pride is an acronym?
So I think we have Pride on the line from, I don't believe it is. I think it reflects their background in helping the foster children and development in the disabled individuals. They have a nonprofit arm and a for-profit arm. So
This is for-profit.
This is the for-profit arm. Yeah. So their primary umbrella is a 501c3 nonprofit. And then, which is very common to have a for-profit and a nonprofit work together so that the for-profit can help fund the nonprofit.
I'm pretty sure they did have a facility at the corner of Orange Show and or with San Bernardino Avenue and Tippecanoe for a number of years.
Yeah.
And they hired the type of people that are described here, which is a wonderful thing.
So, and I think we do have a representative from Pride on the line. So I'm not sure about that, but I don't know if.
Okay. Well, let's hear from them. Who's online?
Are you guys able to hear? Hello? Hi, Kelly. Sorry. I apologize. We're calling in from the phone. Jim, this is Christy from Pride. I'm here with Jim.
Who's the president and CEO?
Pardon?
He's the president. Sorry, Jim is the president. Yes.
Hello, this is Jim. So our current CEO is Craig Lagera. He's been our CEO for about 3 months now. Prior to him was Jeff Dern, who's had that seat for about 5 years. Prior to that, Mike Ziegler for many years. So CEO and stuff just recently changed. He's been kind of pushing on a lot of this type of work and everything else that we're moving forward with. And yes, we used to have the one there in San Bernardino. They have recently relocated, I think, over to the Riverside area.
Chair.
Yes.
Hello, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. I'm Gil.
Hi, Gil. I'm Jim Schaefer with Pride Industries. I'm the director for
Hey, Jim.
our project and energy services.
Thank you for being here today. We have a few questions for you. So
Sure.
yeah, the first question our president had was if you did have a local office, and if you are awarded this contract, are you going to be running it through any local office? Or because you guys
Our
are
local offices there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we do have offices. I'm sorry. Yeah, we do have offices down in that area. We do not have, for our landscape or plumbing is not in San Bernardino. Those typically are custodial or other services that fit more our mission. We do have our landscape department down there. Their main office is out of Pacoima. They have little remote yards that are spread out through
LA County.
different site locations. Yeah. So, but we also have like San Bernardino County, like the courthouses and stuff. So we manage and do all the facility maintenance for the JCC, the Judicial Council of California. So we have small site setups, like for our landscape guys, where they park their vehicles and stuff like that at some of the courthouses in different areas.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
If I may, let me stop you right there. So the question cuts to your organization's capacity to deliver the tenants of this contract. That's number one. And then number two, could you had two bidders. Your bid is $1.6 million less than the next bidder. So can you unpack that a little bit for the board? Because we had questions about whether the disparity or, why your bid was so much lower.
Yep, not a problem. So, yes, being that there's kind of two different, what we call facility measures to this, being that we had the interior fixtures as well as the landscape turf. Part of this is a incentive for us. We're kind of going in at cost for these because we're trying to expand our landscape department in that area. Not just San Bernardino, but also outlying out past like Banning and Palm Springs area. So this is a way for us in order to come in order to expand hopefully we can get additional contracts on the back end with your guys' end users and stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, we know it's kind of it's called a loss leader.
Let me stop you right there, sir. So as you say, you're hoping to expand. So the question was, do you have the capacity to deliver the tenants of this contract currently? Not are you going to be developing that?
Yeah, absolutely. For this program, yeah. The goal for this thing is to help get the installation in order to, say a better word for it, but to invest the full $3 million into this. So we did this based off what you guys had on there on your estimate sheet. And then we also have other additional clients that we feel are probably not on there that we can help expand this.
And also, yeah, that you mentioned this contract has the grant has a hard stop.
Yes.
So you're well aware of that. I mean, that's good. It's a really ambitious. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Didn't mean to interrupt you. We have, like I said, we currently manage 13 million square feet of landscape across the country. So we can turn around and we pull resources from all different areas and we bring it in order to maintain and do this contract.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Okay. Other questions? So you do, so it sounds like you are saying that you believe that an expansion of the work is feasible from is what your company believes.
Absolutely.
Double?
Yes. Yeah, we can probably do double. You'll probably do a little bit more, but
December
It's just,
31st.
you know, again, yeah. Well, again, our goal is try to have everything complete done before the end of November. You know, we have the resources, we have the people. We're expecting about 15, 16 people in several crews in order to do it with, you know, we have the equipment, the turf removal, the being able to put back, you know, granite or other materials and drought tolerant plants and all that stuff. So, yes.
Okay. It's good. This is not to you, but this goes back to Kelly. So each division has projects prioritized for the list. And do we have that volume? I mean, we do have up to 3 million
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
already there.
yeah, we actually have some properties that would be still on a waiting list. If a property were to fall through, we could backfill. We're ready to backfill. So
Okay.
yeah, we're ready for fully subscribed programmatic capabilities as long as we can get the contracts executed.
Chair Longville.
Yes.
So one thing that Kelly didn't mention is that as soon as we hopefully get this,
Mhm.
let's call it part one
Mhm.
of the contract approved, Pride will start the implementation process right away on this $1.3 million. Simultaneously,
Mhm.
we will be working on let's call it phase 2 to try to fully utilize that grant funding by the end of November. So we're not going to wait until phase 1 is implemented and then worry about phase 2. We're going to assume that we're going to be able to do that and work to get that contract amendment ready to bring back to the board right away so that we can hopefully use all of the $3 million.
Yeah, get the field crews mobilized so that they can start doing the work, and then we can continue working on the back end administrative side for the contract adjustment for phase 2. So
I have a question. So originally when this came before the board, wasn't it nearly 6 million?
it's a $5.7 million grant, and then we have 3 million set aside for the direct install and 2.7 in the traditional turf rebate program, which is almost also completely committed.
Okay, so are there any opportunities for our small business owners to participate in that you know, the faucet stuff, the replacement? Is that I guess that's the part I'm not understanding. I want to make sure I understand, because I know I had a plumber from Yucaipa, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he expressed interest in being part of this program when it was original. So I gave you the information. So I don't know if the guy got back to you or not, but when a ratepayer comes to me, whether they're from my division or any other, as long as they're in this valley, then I try to do my best to connect them with our staff. And that's what I did. So I don't want to be misinformed or I don't want to misunderstand and say, hey, we have this program, you might want to think about it. So are there opportunities for our small, like this guy in Yucaipa, this plumber in Yucaipa?
So construction, this is a difference between the professional services bid and the construction bid.
Okay.
So in the construction bid, you have to designate and note all of your subcontractors in the bid document, because we have to be able to check your contractor's license as part of the condition and the due diligence period. There's more flexibility on the professional services side for subcontracting. So in this case, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to bring in new subcontractors. But if there were other projects, we could definitely encourage with retailers or different, if there's other projects in the future. But for this one, they would have to have been declared as a subcontractor in the bid document.
Got it. Thank you.
And it is anticipated that there will be additional funding for urban community drought relief programs through DWR.
Our crystal ball of what will they, potentially. Historically, yes, but.
You ready for a motion?
So,
Okay.
and then I know we like to have us read, so if you'll bear with me, I'm going to try not to stutter on the staff recommendation, if that's okay. So if the board would entertain, we would ask that you consider waiving the minor irregularity contained in Pride Industries 1 Inc. or Pride bid, award the construction contract for the direct installation program turf removal and indoor water fixture replacement project to Pride Industries based on the bid amount of $1,322,319, and authorize execution of the agreement for the direct installation program turf removal and indoor water fixture replacement project and authorize the contingency costs of up to 10% above the contract amount or $132,231, subject to review and approval by the CEO, general manager, making the total budgetary request to the board for the project of $1,454,550 for phase one.
I'll move whatever Kelly just said.
Okay, we have a motion by President Harrison,
I'll second.
and second by Director Velasquez. Roll call, please.
Vice President Mateo,
No.
Director Keelhold,
Yes.
Director Longo,
Yes.
Director Velasquez,
Yes.
and President Harrison.
Yes,
The motion carries. Staff recommendation for item 3.1 is approved.
Okay. Future business. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to, in a next board meeting, hopefully, that one of the items be put on that we form a standing committee, personnel/workforce development for this board.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, the second. Roll call.
Director Keelhold,
Yes.
Director Longo,
Yes.
Director Velasquez,
Yes.
Vice President Mateo,
Yes.
and President Harrison.
yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Well, we have concluded off everything on our agenda, so it is 2:47 and we are adjourning. Thank you for joining us.